The iPhone 14 Pro has now been out for 8 months, and in my original review, I mentioned how it wasn't enough of a jump from the 13 Pro that I had to kind of make that purchase. But after buying it and using it for the past 8 months, I have a new perspective. Now, I'm still not a power user of the 14 Pro. I still use it for mostly the basics and content creation on the weekends. But other than that, I'm not really gaming on it. I'm not shooting all the ProRes video on it. So honestly, I still don't think it's going to be a huge upgrade or kind of a viable upgrade for you if you're only coming from a 13 Pro and you're only looking to upgrade solely to get better cameras. The cameras are still going to be better, but just barely better than the 13 Pro. So if that's the only reason you're looking at upgrading, I still don't think it's a good option. And my main reason for that is because if you're using the iPhone kind of for content creation, no matter what app you upload it to, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, it is going to compress those files. So even though it's going to be just a little bit better once you upload it to another app and people watch it on another screen, that screen is most likely not going to show you all of the 4K capabilities that you shot it in and all of those extra features. It's most likely going to play in 720 or in 1080p, and you won't really be able to tell much of a difference. And this year, I actually went with the Pro Max model over a regular Pro. And the reason for that was to kind of get a larger screen. And honestly, it's been really nice to have a larger screen to kind of shoot all my videos and also consume content on Instagram and on YouTube. That's always been really nice. And we all know that with a larger phone screen or a larger phone, you also get a larger battery. And honestly, the 14 Pro Max has not disappointed me at all. You guys saw recently from my Pixel 7a review, I really didn't like the battery on that phone. It kind of didn't even last me all day. But with the 14 Pro Max, I actually am still getting up to 2 days of kind of phone time with my iPhone. And aside from that, if you guys look at my battery health, I still have 100% battery health on my iPhone, meaning that no matter kind of how much I charge it to, or if I charge it to 100%, I'm still going to get 100% out of this battery. And the great thing about that is that because I use this phone mainly for content creation on the weekends, I'm able to charge it up to 100% starting off the weekend and then use it all day to kind of shoot all my content and then pass kind of all that to my MacBook. And then I'll still be at 50% at the end of the night, and I don't have to kind of worry to kind of get me to the next day or to my next charge, because 50% can still get me up to 24 hours on my phone. And this is a huge plus as well, because honestly, I'm not really using a fast charger. I'm using this third-party Anchor charger, which only gets me up to 17 watts of charge for my iPhone 14 Pro Max. So whenever I'm at my desk, I can simply throw it on this charger, and even after 30 minutes, if I decide to disconnect it, if I get up, if I'm going somewhere else, I can take it off the charger, and even coming up to 30 to 50%, it's still enough battery kind of for me to kind of take it out and come back. And another great thing about the battery life on this phone is that because it lasts so much, I have never had to go kind of on the low power mode or the battery saver mode. I forget what the iPhone or Apple calls it, but I've never had to go into that feature where it kind of dims your phone screen, it slows it down, it makes it slower. I've never had to use any of that because I always know that even at 20%, I can make it to my next charge. In fact, I've even ran this phone from anywhere from 5 to 10%, and I've been able to get a couple hours out of it still, and it has never failed on me, or I guess it's never turned off on me, which the 7a, when I was using it, it did turn off on me a couple times throughout the week. And that really sucks, because as someone that's really into tech, someone that likes to stay connected, kind of your phone running out of battery does suck because of anything you might miss. And because of that, I've been able to even go to sleep with my phone being at 10-15% and not have to worry about it turning off overnight, which again, my Pixel did happen to do that once. And it sucks when you wake up and the first thing you do is look at your phone to check the time, and your phone's not turning on, because that's when you enter panic mode of what time is it? Am I late? Did I wake up late? Did I miss my alarm? And all these questions start rolling through your head. So it's nice to be able to rely on your phone to not run out of battery overnight. And also, having a battery health of 100% after 8 months is really great, especially for someone like me that's using the phone really a lot on the weekends, kind of to shoot all of that content, kind of using it as much as I can for that. So keeping 100% battery health at 8 months really does tell you a lot of kind of about the lifespan of the phone itself, meaning that at a year, if you're still at 100% battery health, you're still going to be able to use this phone just the same way you did a year ago when you first bought it. And it's still going to give you a whole lot more time with it, meaning you don't have to keep upgrading. So that's always a nice plus. And another reason why it's nice to still have that 100% battery health is for the other feature that Apple introduced into the 14 Pro lineup, which is the always on display. Now, I've always been someone that really likes the always on display. I started with my Android phones with the Pixel 4 XL and with my Galaxy S8. I always love to be able to glance over at my phone and kind of see exactly what notifications I have, what time is it, what's the weather. It's just always a nice little feature to have. So I've always liked, or I did like, whenever iPhone 14 Pro kind of introduced that, I did like the way they kind of set it up, and they do have it look actually different than what you might see on an Android phone. Any sort of skin or Android skin that's on the phone, whether it's the Galaxy One UI or the Google Material U, whatever skin it has, you will always see that they show the notifications with the little icon on the always on display. Something that Apple did different here was kind of still giving you those notification banners at the bottom of the screen, even with the always on display being on, and even the wallpaper still being live, still showing you exactly the wallpaper that you have. It basically looks like your lock screen, but on an always on display. So basically it's just your lock screen, but dimmer. And this is something that I really liked about the Apple perspective of the always on display, because you can always see kind of those notification badges or kind of a thumbnail. And whenever you get a message, you will actually see the face of who sent you the message, which is really helpful to kind of glance over and see if it's a message that can wait or if it's a message that you want to respond to right away. And if you do prefer the Android look or kind of the Android always on display option, you can go into your settings and kind of turn off that live wallpaper, meaning that you can still show your always on display, but it will be a black screen. And if you're like me and you like your privacy, you can actually keep all your notifications hidden so that it just says notification along with the little thumbnail or the notification badge, or I guess the app icon of where the notification is coming from, rather than kind of leaving all your notifications out in the open for anyone passing by to see. And if you don't put them on private, it can get a little confusing, because if you have your wallpaper, you have your notifications available to view, it might be a little difficult to kind of tell whether your iPhone is kind of unlocked or locked. But luckily, Apple did use the dynamic island as kind of like a little indicator by allowing the island to show you that if the screen is locked, there is going to be a little lock icon kind of at the top of the screen. And if your phone is unlocked, obviously when you turn it back on, it is going to show that it is unlocked if you are able to use your Face ID. And another indicator of it being on or off is obviously going to be the screen brightness. If you tap it to turn on, it is going to get brighter. And if you have it really bright, it's going to get a lot brighter, and it's going to be a lot easier to tell whether your phone is on or it's just displaying the always on display. And as for the dynamic island, it was shown to have a lot of different features kind of whenever it was announced. But honestly, I haven't really used it much. And for the most part, for every single feature that it was used for, I kind of now have learned to ignore the dynamic island. And by that I mean I have a lot of app shortcuts kind of to set up my home screen. And if you do want to watch the video on how to set it up like mine, you can watch it here, I believe, or here. I'll set a link there so you can go watch that video. But because I do have a lot of app shortcuts, whenever I click it, it will give you a notification that you used a shortcut. But because I've used it so much, this little animation, my head just kind of ignores it, and I'm never really able to tell that the shortcut or that the dynamic island was doing anything at all. One place that I have noticed though the dynamic island being used is when I get a phone call while I'm using the phone, but that's just like any other notification banner. It'll kind of show up from the top and it'll show you that there's a call incoming. And then also whenever I'm playing music, you will see that at the top it still displays exactly what you are playing. It'll show kind of the little album artwork and a little bit of music kind of animation. But whenever you're going to interact with the dynamic island, it's actually a lot easier for me to click it once and go into the app as a whole, rather than kind of clicking and holding, which is unfortunate because this kind of kills it being kind of a shortcut where you can use it and kind of interact with it and do all these sorts of things. It makes it more of an app shortcut where with a simple click it takes you to the app, which I have found to be a lot faster for things like pausing the song that you're playing, moving on to the next one, and then while kind of going into the app itself, you do get more abilities, or you get kind of more full use of the app if you want to go to a completely different playlist rather than just using the shortcuts of play forward and backwards. Overall though, those are all the extra added features that you would get from the 14 Pro over the 13 Pro. But that's really all the extra added bells and whistles that you would get for an iPhone, and you would get everything that an iPhone has to offer. But because those features are just some added design features and some extra features that aren't really going to be helping a content creator, especially if you're just looking for a phone that you can use as your main camera for shooting all your content, I don't really think it's going to be worth it for a lot of people. But for people like me, I think spending the extra maybe $100 over an iPhone 13 Pro is going to be worth it, especially the always on display. That is a feature that I have always liked, so I like having it on my iPhone just like I have had before on some of my Android phones. But is it worth it for you? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you watch this video. YouTube thinks you're really gonna like it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.